Cloudways, as we know it, is ruined. After being acquired by DigitalOcean last year, many changes are being made that have me rethinking if I really want to host my websites there. But does a viable Cloudways alternative even exist? The acquisition announcement was a shock to most Cloudways customers, and it was concerning because DigitalOcean was one of 6 providers you could pick from to host your website. It seemed that the obvious thing for DigitalOcean to do would be to axe its competitors and make Cloudways an exclusive management system for DigitalOcean servers. At the time, I talked to several Cloudways employees, and they all assured me that there were no plans of doing this and Cloudways would continue operating as normal. That was until DigitalOcean announced it was laying off 11% of its workforce in February, and many of the affected employees happened to work at Cloudways. When questioned about the layoffs, the DigitalOcean CEO said that it was to accelerate free cash flow margins to 20%. This is basically a nice way of saying we weren't making enough profit, so we canned some jobs to increase our profit margins. If it sounds like I'm upset about this, it's because I am. Cloudways was an innovative platform that I loved, and a lot of that was thanks to the amazing people who worked there. I knew several Cloudways employees affected by these layoffs, and for what? Just so their parent company could increase their profit margins after they just spent $350 million on the company? If you ask me, a company has no business acquiring another company if they're just gonna lay a bunch of people off 3 months later. I was already upset at DigitalOcean for the direction they were taking Cloudways, and then the announcement came. Effective May 2nd of this year, new customers are no longer able to create Cloudways servers at Vultr or Akamai, which is formerly Linode. You now have to choose between DigitalOcean, Amazon Web Services, or Google Cloud. And while existing customers can continue to use their Vultr or Akamai servers and even create new ones, this change affecting new customers makes me apprehensive to recommend Cloudways. Since AWS and Google Cloud are so expensive, the obvious choice is to pick a DigitalOcean server. Now, is DigitalOcean bad? Not at all. Their servers are rock solid reliable. It's more about what DigitalOcean is doing to Cloudways. They're taking away choice. It used to be if you had a problem with a particular provider, you could just clone your Cloudways server to a different provider and move on. But now that freedom is gone. But you still have the freedom to click that subscribe button and hit the bell. It's totally free and you'll be notified when I release new videos. So I got to work researching the best alternatives to Cloudways, and here are 5 to consider. I started my research at RunCloud. It looked the most similar to Cloudways, even down to the logo. RunCloud takes a different approach from Cloudways in that it is truly bring your own server. You create your own server at Vultr, DigitalOcean, Akamai, or whatever provider you want, then you supply the SSH login details to RunCloud. RunCloud allows you to install new WordPress applications with a click, just like Cloudways, and you can even take advantage of features like automatic daily backups and staging environments. RunCloud even has a built-in file manager in the browser. This is a neat feature that I wish Cloudways had. RunCloud is a bit less polished though. There are more settings and features, but it reminds me more of cPanel than it does Cloudways. For example, when creating a new staging environment, you're asked to enter a username and password for that specific installation of WordPress, and you also have to manually select a domain. I like at Cloudways how they just figure that out for you. It's the same login as your main site, and it's automatically put on a temporary domain. These extra steps shouldn't be necessary just to generate a staging environment, and I wish RunCloud would streamline the process a bit. Everything about RunCloud is a little bit more complicated than Cloudways, but overall they're pretty similar. Based on my experience so far, I was ready to recommend RunCloud until I saw the pricing. The pricing for one server is $8 a month at RunCloud on top of the cost of the server itself. So if you were to use a 2 GB high frequency instance at Vultr, that costs $12 a month, so you add the two together and it's going to cost you $20 a month to run that server. And that's really not bad. The cost of a 2 GB DigitalOcean server at Cloudways is $24 a month, so that's a monthly savings of $4. Well, I thought it was great until I realized that you can only have one WordPress staging environment on the basic plan. You can have unlimited websites, but if you have 5 WordPress sites and you want all 5 of those sites to have their own staging environments, you can't do that in the basic plan. Instead, you would have to upgrade to the Pro plan for $15 a month, and you're still capped at 10 WordPress staging environments. And if if you want team features to allow other people to log into your server, you're gonna have to cough up for the $45 a month plan. Cloudways has unlimited staging environments and all team features included on any size server, so RunCloud doesn't really make sense unless you have a huge server or a bunch of small servers. Next, I looked at SpinUp.wp. This platform is similar to RunCloud, but it's a bit more centered around WordPress. You can bring your own server from anywhere, and the personal plan is $12 a month for a single server. There is no unlimited plan, but the team plan for $39 a month entitles you to 3 servers, and each additional server after that is another $7 a month. So a 2GB Vultr server on SpinUp.wp would cost you $24 a month, the same price as a 2GB DigitalOcean server at Cloudways, except at SpinUp.wp you won't have access to any of the team features. And SpinUp.wp seemed inferior to RunCloud. Installing WordPress was convoluted compared to Cloudways, and they don't even support staging environments. SpinUp.wp also requires you to provide your own third-party backup storage. There's no built-in storage to get you started like RunCloud offers. Continuing my quest to find a Cloudways alternative, I ended up somewhere I wouldn't expect to be. Hostinger. I've had mixed feelings about Hostinger, and I haven't recommended them much in the past due to some mediocre experiences I've had with their shared hosting. But someone recommended I check out their cloud hosting and said it was pretty similar to Cloudways, so I had to give it a shot. For $25 a month, you can get an account with 2GB of RAM, 200GB of storage, and it can host up to 300 websites. Although, I don't know who would want to host 300 websites on an instance of this size. Please don't try that. And I have to say, I was quite impressed with the quality of Hostinger's cloud product. The WordPress installer is super easy to use, and they even have this AI tool that can generate demo content for your website to get you started. The speed on Hostinger is pretty zippy, and it's easy to manage backups, staging environments, and everything you need to run your WordPress sites. I actually think that Hostinger is the easiest provider in this video to use. They've done a great job with their HPanel, and while you don't get a choice at which provider is hosting your website, I think Hostinger could be a great fit for anyone with multiple WordPress sites. Next, I want to look at some options that would be a fit for users who only have one website. Cloudways and Cloudways Alternatives are typically for users looking for a single server to host many websites, but what if you only have one website? Nexus offers managed WordPress plans starting at $21 a month for one website, and you'll get all the features of managed hosting without the complications of managing a server instance. You'll have a staging environment, daily backups, and everything you need to keep your WordPress site running. If you have an e-commerce website, I would take a look at WP Engine. It's not cheap, with their WooCommerce plan starting at $36 a month for one website, but WP Engine hands down has the best e-commerce hosting I've ever tested. They've got a feature called EverCache, which is able to cache up to 90% more pages in WooCommerce. Caching is typically difficult with WooCommerce, so this is a unique feature that really makes WP Engine stand out. Honestly, there isn't really one best alternative to Cloudways. If anything, through my research, I've discovered just how one-of-a-kind Cloudways was, and in some ways still is. If Cloudways works for you, it might be worth sticking to. For now, I'll be keeping my server there. For enthusiasts, RunCloud may be an enjoyable option as you get full control over exactly where your server is, and there's more options to tinker with. And for anyone who just wants powerful, reliable WordPress hosting for one website, Nexus or WP Engine may be a good fit for you. I'll keep hosting my sites at Cloudways and WP Engine for now, and if you want to hear my take on some other WordPress hosts, I've got an entire video about that here.